I shouldn't phrase it like that. But I'm talking about the book, A Journey in Service, written by former military president Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. The book has come out 32 years after he left office, and it was a most intriguing event, the launch of the book. He was there, just about every other, president, leader of the country that is still with us. They were also there, with the exception of former President Muhammadu Buhari, but we hear that he was represented. And now I want to take a look at, shall we say, a critical look at A Journey in Service, as much as one can do that within the ambits of our program. And our guest this morning is a former spokesman of IBB, a politician, Prince Kasim Afebua. He is our guest today. Prince, it's great to have you. You've been on our station. You've been known for a lot of Edo things, but now you're stepping out of that momentarily.
I love this your studio.
You do?
I think this is best in Africa.
Wow!
Among the studios I have visited,
we'll take it. We'll take it. Thank you very kindly.
This is a wonderful investment, and I pray you have the enablement to sustain the beauty of what I've seen here.
Thank you very much.
And have the critical manpower, to suit into the digital nature of your studio.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much for your
Because it is one thing to have an idea, it's another thing to have people who can nurture that idea and sustain same.
There you go.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You know, even before I call for the package which goes back to the ceremonies around that time, there's a very important thing that I think a lot of people don't know. Most people will know in the public space that you and former President IBB, military president, I think I should always keep on remembering, military
president, yes, that's not a Democrat. That is the right time.
He came because he wanted to come, not because the people said he should come. Okay, now, you are close, you are very close. I want to explore very briefly, how come the relationship between you and IBB was like that? Where did it start?
Well, essentially, I think it started 1998. At the beginning, I was one of IBB's critics. As a young man, we all did a Luther, Continua, Victoria Asata, and what have you, called him all kinds of names and all that. And when Providence brought us together in 1998 at the formation of the PDP, I saw all the movements that snowballed into producing an Obasanjo presidency in 1999. And in all of those movements, IBB was actively involved. So given my curious mind, I was understudying the scenario and all of that until we met face to face in one of his lieutenant's home. He's now late.
And then you guys just gelled after
that? No. In my curious mind, I was quick to ask so many questions in just, a very short time. I was asking this question, The leader in him, he was dissecting same for me. And I saw a man who was very much, very much conscious of his environment, so much in pace with what is happening globally. He was drawing inferences from Vietnam about the economy and what's happening there. He was telling me about South Africa. He was telling me about Poland and all that.
This goes back to 98.
Yes. And I was wondering, I said, this man is solid, he's sound. So, and despite the fact that I was still a young man, and, at least felt that I was reading or studying, reading books and all of that, one of my hobbies, I just felt that I was very, very ill-prepared to even contend with the kind of responses the man was giving me. And so from that particular point in time, I became a voracious reader of books. I started buying books with my little resources. And today, if you come to my study, you may actually think that I'm actually a professor.
That is a library.
Yeah, because it's an effect, and consequence of my engaging with IBB. Because you can't tour with his intellect.
Do you
He's
think,
very much at home.
do you think what you've just told me, sort of, I want to see how that interest in the man, IBB, by you, now transformed into your being his spokesperson?
Yeah, well, in 2001, there was an urge, by some persons that the bashing and the polity against Babangida was becoming too dominant. Even though he produced an Obasanjo, to compensate for the June 12 issue, a man from Abeokuta just like MK Abiola and all of that. And so some of his friends said, no, we need to have a spokesman. And they brought quite a number of persons to him, about 17 persons.
Okay.
That they should look at their CV and all that. I didn't submit any CV. The man just told them, I said, go and look for that young man called Kasim Afegbu. I like his writing, he's very flowery, very poetic when he writes, he decorates his words with, very lovely prose. So they called me that IBB wanted to see me and all that. I said, yes, okay, I will come to Mina. So I went to Mina and all that. And he said, I've told my friends to reach out to you. Have they? I said, yes, they have done so. He had discussed with me, but he wanted those persons to claim the credit of fishing me out and all that.
That's part
that's part
what
of
we're talking about, the
yes,
man IBB.
Yes, so they spoke to me and all that, and I resumed and I started the engagement. And in 2006, I was attacked in my home, well, by agents of government, as I will speak, because on the 17th of August 2006, that was his birthday. He had told me, he said, watch your back. The government of the day are not comfortable with your person in terms of you are too vocal and all of that. So you need to apply some break, even though you've been responding to issues when they come up and all that. And the particular night they came, I was writing an article on the Gulf oil windfall and the Babangida's scenario, and so I had a copy of the Okegbo report, the photocopy of it and all that, and I've read it back to back and all that. I didn't see all the, noise about it. So I said, and they came, they attacked. But I got a lot of scars all over my body now, if you see me, but I survived.
Wow.
I called the police commissioner as it then was, Lawrence Alobi, who gave an instant instruction and all that. And he told me that if they want to go after you, they may come like armed robbers. So you have to be conscious of your environment and all that. And these people came just like that, but they shot terribly at my door, unable to gain entrance, they had to start breaking the wall. And then police came and they helped me. But before that, they had poured acid on me when I was trying to escape from the other window, and so I had to bounce
Those
back.
were harrowing times.
Yeah.
Back to today, I'm sure you know that General IBB, he is not the most popular public figure, stemming directly from June 12th. He has had his say on June 12th. In fact, maybe that's what this book is all about. First of all, I just wanted to establish that. That you are fully aware
the June 12th,
that he's not everybody's darling.
No, no human being is everybody's darling. IBB, I will tell you, is the most popular former president of this country. The event in Abuja on February 20th.
You choose that word advisedly when you say most popular,
yeah,
not most notorious.
No. You see, it depends on how you want to describe a man. But you cannot take away the fact that IBB is loud. His personality is loud in this country. When he doesn't talk, people raise questions. When he speaks, it's all over the place. When he even makes statements, meanings are read into them. When he doesn't make statements, they are thinking IBB is plotting something. When you visit Babangida in Mina, it is in the papers. Oh, something must be cooking. When you don't even visit, they say, why are people not visiting? So the man is, he carries, is an embodiment of all kinds of impressions, feelings, and what have you. And so It depends how you describe him, but I see him as the most popular person.
Okay.
Whenever he's doing any event, you see the area of people that attend.
Everybody, yeah.
He's a complete Nigerian. You cannot cocoon him to be a northern president or a southern president, but he's a complete Nigerian. At the event on February 20th at Transcorp Hilton, you could see the completeness of Nigeria and the unity of same.
In fact, let us return to that very briefly. Let me bring on the report I was telling you about that goes back to that particular day. We'll come back and look at the book itself, a journey in service.
The long-anticipated memoir of General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, a man who played a significant role in Nigeria's political history. His influence extends beyond the military circles to government, public and private sectors. His positive effect is evident in the assemblage of prominent Nigerians gathered in this hall to honor a man who stepped aside as head of state and president of Nigeria in August 1993, 32 years ago. Now, after 3 decades, General Babangida gives an account of his own side of history. The role he played on the center stage in critical events like the annulment of June 12, the death of Delegiwa, the Mamman Vasta coup, and the Gideon Oka coup. For the first time, the charismatic military general openly admits that Chief MKO Abiola won the annulled June 12, 1993 presidential election.
Free and fair elections were held on June 12, 1993. However, the tragic irony of history remains that the administration that devised a near-perfect electoral system and conducted those near-perfect elections could not complete the process.
The special guest at the launch of General Ibrahim Babangida's autobiography is President Bola Tinubu, who was once a victim of several decisions taken by General Babangida's administration to truncate the democratic process. President Bola Tinubu recalled how he once challenged Ibrahim Babangida over his failure to inaugurate the National Assembly when President Tinubu was elected to represent Lagos West in 1992.
I confronted you that you had an opportunity to make history that day, and you failed to do it. Why not inaugurate us? Why are you calling us back and postponing the inauguration day? They thought I will end up in jail. You came out right at the end of the remark. You shook me. I can't forget that picture. You said, you are courageous.
Now that General Ibrahim Babangida has decided to tell it all, some major characters in that episode of Nigeria's history, like Humphrey Nwosu, who was chairman of the National Electoral Commission, are not alive to also give an account of their roles in the annals of the country. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo, who was the chairman of the occasion, says General Babangida's autobiography is a contribution to documenting history.
You have not only contributed to history making, you have contributed to documenting history. It is an important part of our nation building.
Almost everyone that encountered the man that was fondly called Maradona or evil genius still has an impression that has lasted for several decades. For General Yakubu Gowon, it is the decision of General Babangida to restore his military ranks after being falsely implicated in the 1976 Dimka coup that still sticks in his mind. Former Vice President Yemi Osinbajo reviewed the 420-page book that contains details of events preceding General Babangida's time as head of state and his role in coups that altered the course of Nigeria's political development.
The most unfortunate aspect of the war experience for him was that it brought him into combat confrontation with some officers from the Biafran side.
Okay, I'm sorry, we just had to truncate that because it is well known already. That is former Vice President Yemi Osinbajo's, acclaimed review as a matter of fact, it is available all over the place. But we have in studio Prince Kasim Afegba, as I said. He's a politician and he's a former spokesperson.
You call me politician, I'm a media consultant.
You can use two. You can use two.
Politicians don't behave the way I believe. I'm very blunt, I'm very straight to the point and all that. But politicians, they have their own way with
well, part of
their operation.
Okay, I hear you.
Yes.
But for the time being, let us stay with former spokesman of IBB, okay, which means you were close and you've spoken about that aspect.
Yeah.
But you also have, had reason to, well, comment. I wouldn't say fault, to comment because you're on record as having said that, well, there are still more memoirs that needs to come from IBB. The whole truth has not been spoken, but that's not a big deal. Let everybody else add to what has been spoken.
Yeah, to the body of knowledge.
And to the body of knowledge.
You see, because life is an ongoing thing, and every day we learn, and the more revelations we have to document, history, the better for, our future generations. Quite a number of persons who are still young, or who were still young as it were then, may not have the full gamut of what an IBB represents in terms of the decisions it took while in government and all of that. A lot of people have been sold this very wrong narrative that, IBB didn't do anything when it came to, it's the beginning of corruption. He's the one who did the value currency. He's the one who did that. I've had to contend with quite a number of critics, try to explain and even argue some of these issues. Like when you say is the one who introduced corruption to Nigeria, I said, no, it is not possible. If as far back as even pre-independence or even, over 100 years ago, they've examined, Africans and, and blacks, and their approach to issues of corruption. In Nigeria, for example, when Gowon took over government in 1966, he said that a lot of those regional governments were running the culture of 10%ers was already ingrained in us, just barely at independence. We inherited GRA, government reservation area, from the Onyebos, but the salaries they were paid were not complementary to what it requires to sustain life in GRAs. And so people now said they put 10% and all of that in contract. That was as far back as 66, up to this. When Muritala Mohammed took over, he said, those regional governments and administrators were running their estate like personal fiefdom. That was his acceptance speech. When you link all of that with Shagari, we not started eating from the dustbin and all of that, of Marudiko and what have you, you see that it has been a trajectory of so many, abnormalities in respect to corruption. But of course, the democracy, military government are not welcome. Because they don't ask for votes.
Exactly.
So you can use all kinds of language to. But the policies of IBB are still stand to be contradicted. The policies of IBB in this country are actually the cornerstone of a re-engineered Nigeria. But in terms of private sector, Aliko Dangote said it that they say he's the father of the private sector. You have the private broadcasting under the military government. He started licensing them. You talk about the banks, liberalization of the banks and all of that, creating NER fund to give money to entrepreneurs, building infrastructure, 12 million bridges, so many of the bridges in Lagos here and elsewhere, dualizing roads in this country and what have you. So an item of June 12th, in my own opinion, which I'm entitled to, is I cannot obliterate all the good that he did in this country.
Well, as you said, yes, it's a matter of opinion, and this is the opinion that you hold. But the fact, his effect on June 12th, how does one put it? The disservice he did to the country by annulling June 12th, which he was later to explain in recent times that, as a matter of fact, that was Abacha. It wasn't really me, but I take responsibility. And now we've spoken about the man's courage. We remember when he went unarmed into Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria to dislodge Dimka. You know, everybody has seen the man, you know, as a man of courage, swashbuckling, if you want. It was that aroma was just around him. He was thought of as the soldier. But the damage is almost indelible, the mark it left on the country by not allowing June 12th, you know, to proceed. I see that you want to respond, but before you do so, viewers have called in. So let me just see what Mr. George has to say. Good morning to you, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. Good morning to Prince Afegwa.
Okay. Did you hear that?
Prince
I don't know. We have a problem.
Prince Afegwa, let me first thank you for what is going on in Edo State. We are seeing it, and I'm particularly pleased with what the governor is doing. I know it's a team. You are part and parcel of it. Please keep it up. Something tells me that you are going to be the next governor of that state. Coming to the topic of the day, Uncle Yori, I believe you are hearing me.
Yes, we can hear you.
I don't think IBB needed to be writing books, you know, bringing up old wounds. He should have just allowed the sleeping dog to lie. People were already beginning to forget the
trauma
and the trauma of what June 12th cancellation of that election brought about. Don't forget that Abiola himself was killed in the process. His wife was murdered. People lost their businesses. Some died along. More than 200 people died on the streets of Lagos alone. And so many businesses were shut down. Today, some people and their families can no longer feed because of that event. It is not something that you come out and start telling people you take responsibility and using the occasion to make money. You take responsibility is different from you regret it. Action speaks louder than words.
Yeah.
Your action does not show that you regret what has been done. I have a web copy of the book, but the summary of it is not pleasing at all. My friend, Prince Afegwa, I would kindly advise you to don't promote this man, because people like you, and I don't want you to be associated with the ills of Babangida's book, which is not flying. It's simply not flying. If it was in other countries, he would have been arrested and tried.
Okay.
Those crimes.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. George, for calling in. That is the effect that IBB has on a lot of people.
I think Mr. George is also the flip side of the coin, because a coin has two sides, and all. I won't begrudge him for holding that opinion. You also have to know that even in a democracy, everybody will not naturally, support every initiative of anyone. They will criticize, they would, support. Some will say this is the best, some will say no. It's not like when the president removed subsidy. People were crying that it shouldn't be this, but some of us supported that this is the best decision. Today we are seeing the fruits, So he may have his opinion, but I am an unrepentant IBB supporter. And I say this without equivocation. I don't owe anybody any apology for identifying with him as an adult. I have seen and know quite a number of things in this country, having been part and parcel of the political process for the last 28 years, actively. And so I wouldn't, subscribe to Joyce's position. He's entitled to this opinion. Very well. He's guaranteed under the Constitution. I'm also guaranteed under the Constitution to hold a different opinion. He's saying, why now? Why is he reawakening old wounds? There are people, several of them, who were mounting pressure on him that he should write a memoir. Even at that same event, people also told Yakubu Gowon that please go and write your own memoir. It helps to deepen the conversations around our history. where we are coming from, so that future leaders can also learn from the mistakes of
But the man
past
took
leaders.
32 years after leaving
It doesn't matter. There is no limitation. There is no limitation to when you should write a memoir. Those who are calling on
he waited for people to die.
Listen, no.
Contradict
no, there's not. It's not. There's not God now.
I know.
So
what
what if he had also died? What will happen? Yakubu Gowon has not died. He left power in 1975. Until now, he hasn't written a memoir. And people are saying he should write. I read an opinion yesterday in Vanguard by Olufasan saying that Yakubu Gowon should please write memoir so that we can fill in the gap of all the issues being discussed at that period, for which Yakubu Gowon was a principal actor. You need to hear from some of these people the rationale behind decisions taken, certain things they did rightly or wrongly, and so that we can also learn from that. There is no human being on earth that is perfect.
No.
They say, somebody told me, he said, Nigeria is a country of sins without sinners. How do you commit sins but you don't have the sinners? Nobody wants to claim anything.
I think in a weird way, I can sort of understand that.
So,
it's a country of sin without sinners.
So when you see people writing memoirs, it is the authorial, license of the individual to put his thoughts into lovely prose for future generations and present generations to read and learn one or two things. Whether you like it or not, IBB, even on his own, admitted that that was a mistake, that if he had the opportunity to travel that route, that he would think differently.
But that's not the same as an apology.
No, he said he apologized. That one was very obvious. He apologized that he has been apologizing for donkey years. And when you talk about 32 years, Abacha died in 1998, barely 5 years IBB left power. So would you have said I should write a memoir before Abacha died or what?
As you also know, the fact that the name Abacha has come up, that they were very tight, they were very close, himself and Abacha. But in the event, well, what happened, it happened. Now his family, that is Abacha's family, have also, as you know, come out and said that that is not the full truth. This is to be expected, right? All of this is to be expected.
Uncle Yori, see, no doubt, the family remains the family, but they were younger children at that time, 1993 to now 32 years. Remove it from their ages, they will be in the 18, 19, 20 years. So they won't know the peculiarity in terms of the intrigues and intricacies of military government presided over by IBB at that period. And for obvious reasons, I wouldn't want to even touch on the responses of the Abacha children, because IBB is like a grandfather to them. They should naturally accord him respect if they actually have solid home training. And so for them to be using all kinds of very foulish language, a coward, a weakling, and all that, was just taking the handshake beyond the elbow. Okay. So I wouldn't want to dwell on that at all.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Thank you very much, Prince Afegbua. We'll take a quick break now, and we'll be right back. We'll take as many calls as we can. And just as I've been saying in the recent times, if for any reason you can't view us where you usually view us, you can always view us on our YouTube channel, and that's apart from diaspora viewers being able to see us when not being impeded in seeing us. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You're watching Beyond 100 Days with Nifemi Oguntoye. President Tinubu, since he assumed office,
we are on our way to progress.
6 out of the 8 APC federal lawmakers.
I have a movement structure that's going to take back our party in Enugu State. Because this one I'm seeing is tales by moonlight. It's not working.
So I'm wondering what you think, or who you think can stop him now.
He doesn't own the party.
One of the causes of inflation is because people cannot go to the farm.
The government still needs to do more so that people can eat.
I believe what we're clamoring for is more responsible use of social media. Not that people just go in there and think that they can say anything to anybody.
Tinubu is not one who believes in the simple. I mean, he wants to get it done. He will face it. He will get it done.
Yes, the president, from inception of his administration, focused squarely on diversifying the economy and driving in investments to cushion the effect of everything that we've seen, ranging from COVID-19 to the global commodity shocks, global financial crisis, and all of that.
I was privileged to have worked under a governor who believed in the system who also built up the system, and I'm going to do same.
All right, that's our show today, everyone. Thanks for being a part of it.
TVC News, first with breaking news.
Business lives on the fast track of numbers. Business is a strange world where low numbers mean something different. And its currency are speed and time. Finding the open doors of Main Street is not just good business, it's the start of the business. Join us every weekend on Business Week.
Okay, welcome back. That's Prince Afegwa. You heard his voice there. We were engrossed in conversation when we came back. Now, just before we went, you were talking about the intrigues in power, because we're trying to understand a bit better the man Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida and military intrigues, because military president. He came up with that particular concoction, a military president. Yet you spoke about the intrigues. You give the impression that when a person is the head of state, which is the proper title for those people, IBB decided to give himself military president. I don't know whether he was preparing for democracy or not.
Actually, Uncle Yori, do you actually think that there are full-blown military government? I don't think so. Because during that period, we had a lot of civilians who were ministers who helped to dissect issues, who help to, carry out policy implementation.
So we should be mindful of that.
It's actually more of a hierarchy
between the military
and the civilians.
And civilians.
But all the best brains that Babangida recruited, all of them are civilians. In fact, about 90% of them are civilians. Kalu Idika Kalu, Cho Okongo, Professor Oliko Rasamkuti, Babatude Fafunwa. There are so many. In education, in this, in that, and so you cannot take away Professor Jerry Ghana and all that. You can't take away their contribution in the process of implementation of government policies, and they play the role. But we like profiling the military differently, as if they are another country. They were Nigeria, so
And that point has always been made. That the military are also Nigerian.
Yeah, they are Nigerian.
They also have rights of every Nigerian.
So if you say, if because of Western democracy, they say, oh, military to be in government is an aberration. Understandable. But you cannot take away what they have done to better. Will you say because Babangida was a military president, you want to go and blow up a Third Mainland Bridge? I passed through that bridge this morning. I saw the volume of vehicles that crisscross that particular.
Did you also notice that there was a sedate pace?
Of course,
because there's a new rule in town.
It's good. It's good. So
do
that you
not
can also
do more than 80 kilometers.
Yeah, so that you can also maintain that particular infrastructure.
And then
so many other things. It's just like the Transcorp Hilton Hotel, where the venue of the book launch. A lot of young boys who I was interacting with, they never knew that he built it. So there are a number of places, like the entire Abuja, he built 80% of it up. And so, will you say because he was a military president that we should cancel Aso Villa, that has become the residence of Mr. President? So, while you talk about all the secretariats, all of those secretarial structures and all of that, there are so many things he did. One, that is because he had the interests of the country at heart. The intrigues of the military may have affected the issue of June 12. And don't forget that he was very, very close to MK Abiola. And so if he as an individual wanted Abiola to succeed him, and the institution of the military didn't want that, he needed to balance the act.
Maazi Okorafor, good morning. You've come on the program. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Sayori. Good morning, our guest. Sayori, you see, the June 12th that the IBB, the book launch. To me, I don't look at it as a book launch. I look at it as for IBB to do what you call restitution.
To do what? To do restitution?
Yes, that's restitution, not book launch. Because he has come to reveal, to confess what he did when he was talking. He didn't mention social adjustment. He didn't even go to talk about the issue of Gulf money. Now, Gulf money, nobody's talking about it. But this is not as if. Because let's go back to the basics. Let's start 1, 2, 3. If Nigeria, that Gulf money was inside Nigerian pocket, Will Nigeria be suffering today? And nobody's talking about that one. We are talking about the book launch. Now, the election, and secondly, I just said, thank God that he has prophesied and even said it, that Igbos were not coup plotters, that Igbos have nothing to do with coup. Because after that coup, people say that Igbo people, they are betrayed. Thank God he confessed that Igbos do not participate anything that has to do with coup. Now we come back to the Abdullah and Wosu have been freed because people assume that Wosu was the main actor. And they have still played Wosu. And look at Mama Abasa, what is happening now? Before we come to Abdullah. Now, do you know that the dictatorship pattern that was in that time, Nigerians kept quiet. Because when you talk, either they kill you or they assassinate you before you talk their rubbish. Now, they were using the military, what we call dictatorship, over 30-something years. Now, these are the things, the foundation they laid in that state is what Nigerians are suffering today. But people will not listen. Thank God for the Tinubu that has come on board. Try to ratify things economically, socially, politically, and then. Because if you look at those days, when IDP was, you know how much Nigeria were getting? When those war was going on, you know how much Nigeria were getting? Now, what did they do? They didn't do anything. A structural adjustment is to produce poverty from that structural adjustment. And poverty is still increasing.
Okay, Mazi, let's give Prince Afegwe a chance to respond. Thank you very much, Mazi.
I think from the way he spoke, it's very obvious he has not read the book. And I think
it has to be said that perhaps very few people have.
He should go and read the book so that he doesn't judge the book by its cover.
They're taking excerpts.
Now, from the way the man lacks knowledge about what IBB said. Even the Gulf oil windfall he's talking about, I think a lot of people don't actually know anything about it. Gulf oil windfall was accruals to government under when Iraq, America, and Kuwait were having issues. So that picked up the prices of petroleum. And that excess that was added to it was what formed the Gulf oil windfall. And it lasted for 16 months. Now, within that 16 months, the accruals to us were summarized to be in the region of $12 billion. If you look at the Okigbo panel report, which I'm sure Mazi Okorafor has not read, and quite a number of people have not read, there were punishment for...
You can't be sure.
No, I'm just saying, no, from the way he spoke.
Okay.
From the way he spoke. There were punishment for those who mismanaged certain aspect of that money, not through Babangida. It was written by Okigbo that what the government of the day did was investing the money in non-regenerative investment. Okigbo would have preferred us to invest in something else instead of building infrastructure or using to build up Abuja, constructing roads and all that. He feels that that was not regenerative enough. That was the comment he made. And there were sanctions against CBN directors and all of that who were part and parcel of those who misappropriated that, part of that. And so when you have that kind of mindset, people should also always learn to go to literature and study and read. Because
so what you're saying, Prince, is that IBB appears to you, at least, to be a man much misunderstood.
Of course, definitely. As a polyglot, he's bound to be misunderstood by people.
Okay. Sorry, sir.
Yeah.
I beg your pardon. Reverend Dominic, good morning to you, sir. And you also came on a while ago. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Chief Jury. Good morning to Kasim.
Yes.
Good morning.
Jury, I think your guest has spoken it all. It's a nation of sin without
sinners.
Yes. Why? Because the man sitting behind you there is also a prosecutor of IBB. And I don't expect him to say otherwise. I have not read this book. I will not read it. The day he was doing this ceremony, I locked off my television in my office because it reminds me my pain, my loss in the days of IBB. Ask my friend Chris Okotie. I don't want to reveal it. It reminds me the pain I lost, the way they ransacked my office in the days of IBB. with Mustafa and their company. So what am I going to read? Am I going to read my tormentor to write a list of lies, and I want me to read it back? You're the one that wants to say, I've said this before, do Nigeria hate military government? If we hate military government, we should hate the foot soldiers of military government, and we hate it for good. If there was no coup against Abiola, Nigeria would not be where it is today. We'll be struggling with fuel subsidy. We'll be struggling with a bag of rice for 100 naira. This economy and this democracy to have moved on to another phase. But for we to celebrate IBB, it is a shame to most of us who fought on that day for we to celebrate that man. And the person I pity here, Yore, and Kasim should hear me, the person I pity here is Abacha.
All right. Well, thank you very much for calling in.
I
think impassioned.
No. I think he missed them up. He was mentioning Al-Mustafa. Al-Mustafa was not in IBB's government. It was Abacha's government that would begin to hear about Al-Mustafa. So I think he should get his anger right. Whether you like it or not, IBB was a military president, and his government had a human face because there was opportunity for public discourse. The IMF loan, it was thrown into public debate. There were a lot of healthy exchange of ideas and what have you. The structural adjustment program, there were riots here and there, but people had opportunity to speak and voice out their issues. I'm not going to say that because he complained about military government, they ransacked his office and all that. We are sorry about that, but it may not have been IBB. So even now, they can still ransack office. EFCC is ransacking office of people who didn't do well. I don't know the kind of business that he did at that period that they ransacked his office. But the point must be made that you don't expect everybody to endorse a particular government 100% or even 80%. Approval ratings of presidents all over the world vary. As bad as Putin is in the eyes of us, Russians, give him a lot of credit for, building Russia and saying that, yes, instilling the confidence of an average Russian in the global map. So I understand, the peculiar position he finds himself. But for God's sake, as much as he doesn't like the apple, call IBB. I love the apple, call IBB. So
love is a strong word. You didn't say like.
Yeah,
you said love.
Love. Yes, I love the apple IBB because see, we cannot think the same. We cannot, because based on our experiences and the knowledge at our disposal, our decisions are informed by them.
Many Nigerians, as you are speaking, will say knowledge at your disposal, but also that, in fact, you will not be surprised if people sit down and at home and say, that's a major IBB beneficiary.
It doesn't matter, and I'm proudly so. I'm a non-repentant IBB supporter. I told you how I met him, how we began, And when I say, because I have learned a lot of things from him, experiences that he's been able to share, in the course of interrogating him and asking him questions. Like the man who said he didn't put on his television order. He has lost opportunity to even hear. You cannot hear a few things. And listen, and he says he will not even read the book. That is also another misnomer. You see, you cannot carry your anger beyond the rubrics of common sense. And you want me to appreciate you as a human being. If you cannot speak to the details of a book, and you are telling me you don't want to read, then there's no basis for me even listening to you in the first place. So the point must be made very clearly. The man has played his part. He has the right under the Constitution guaranteed to be listened to write his memoir, to speak to the experiences he went through, the decisions he took while in government and all that. That is how nations are built.
Okay.
You look backwards and see the mistakes you have created, you put them into perspective for people, present leaders to learn from, and from there you gain knowledge.
Okay.
But for you to just have a blank mind, as much as he didn't watch, there were millions of people who watched television on that day who were calling me from all over the world, America, UK and all that, saying they saw me at the book launch. There were a lot of people, Nigerians drawn from all walks of life, who were assembled in that Transcorp Hilton to participate in that event.
Okay,
because you cannot please everybody.
Let me bring on Cash in the UK. Good morning, Cash.
Hello, good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Prince. Good morning, Prince Kazim. I want to talk to Mr. Kazim. First, Mr. Kazim, could you believe that
Prince Kazim,
I love you and like you, but even I was about to go out before I was known that you'll be the guest this morning, and I have to come back and listen to you. And firstly, let me correct you. Babangida is not the famous head of state in Nigeria. Please, but the most famous head of state in Nigeria is Obasanjo. I'm not the fan of Obasanjo, but I will tell you the truth. And secondly, it's not very fair for you to be saying that Abacha's sons and daughters, what that they know, they are very kids, they are very... No, please, history will judge. And most of things we are saying, most of us, we were not born by then. But through reading news and know the paper and reading books, we were so conversant with what has happened. And moreover, please don't let Babangida's cowardness, I will say it, it's very coward. And don't I like George. George has spoken well. Don't let Babangida's damages affect your personality. I love you more than what you are saying this morning.
All right, thank you very much. Cash in the UK. The voice is a familiar voice.
Well,
he's one of our people. But he has decided to call himself
his
Cash
opinion,
today.
but he cannot live my life for me. That is one thing he must know. He cannot live my life for me. I'm an adult. I also follow my own historical processes to get to this stage I am.
You respect his rights to have his own opinion.
Of course, he has his opinion.
But
That's his
then he must
opinion.
recognize that you also have
like
an IBB has his as well.
Like a literary mind. There's a writer's opinion, and is actually dependent on his worldview or the socio-political milieu and environment upon which that writer grew up. You understand? If you were in the barracks growing up, you will have better knowledge about how military operations do, what they do in military operations, than someone who grew up in the marketplace. So there are quite a number of several dimensions to this.
There are.
And I am very proud. I'm not apologetic about it. I am very proud because you cannot decide my life for me for supporting a man whom I have seen to have met well for a process. I was given the peculiarity of the institution he presided over to become president of the country. There are bound to be quite a number of missteps. That cannot be taken away from him.
But Babangida has put out the book. You have said, you see, we have so little time. 1 hour is nowhere near enough. But you have said that the book is out there. You yourself, in the write-up that you did in one of the papers, have said
that his memoir and his critics.
And yes. And that there's more to be written about this matter. And in the meantime, the critics should go ahead and add what has been left out in their view.
You see,
because we've run out of time completely.
The point is that, Okuyori, you cannot cover the entire gamut of a man like IBB in a 420-page.
That is a fact.
As
I said,
and so
we've run out of time.
Yes, if there are opportunities, people should drive the narrative further. If you know that he has said something that is not the truth, please write your own truth. But to deny him the right to say what he saw as president at that period is to miss the point altogether.
We're going to have to leave it there, Prince. Prince Kasim Afebua, former spokesman of military president IBB and author. He was at the event, and thank you very much for giving us your perspective on the matter. This conversation is going to continue.
Do you know how many supporters IBB have out there? If you are looking for any position in this country, don't you know that you have to go and take some blessings? And you think that the man who is bad will enjoy that kind of recognition?
Okay, this is where we're going to have to leave it. Thank you very much, Prince, once again, for coming on our program. Do please join us on Monday for a fresh edition. I am Iyori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.
Hello, TVC Communications. How can I help?
What makes TVC the right choice for my business?
Excellent question, sir. Let me share some exciting facts with you.
Start your day on TVC Entertainment with Wake Up Nigeria, a family and lifestyle show. Your view empowers women globally.
It's your view, let it count.
Entertainment Splash delivers the hottest celebrity trends. On TVC News, we keep you informed with breaking news and in-depth analysis of events shaping the world.
I will continue to speak the truth.
TVC News at 7 and TVC News at 10 p.m. delivers the most important stories of the day. Max FM, your hit music radio station, captivates listeners daily across Lagos and Abuja, making every commute more enjoyable. Adaba 88.9 FM is not left out, as it is the voice of Southwest. And on TVC Digital, we reach to million viewers daily. All together, pulls in over 17 million viewers daily. Contact us on 0707 272 8338 or marketing at tvccommunications.tv. Partner with TVC Communications today. Let's grow together.
To learn to speak to situations, but that is the way of dominion. You speak to your documents, you speak to your body, you call your organ well. Speak over your business, speak over opportunities that come your way. Accepting your height, accepting your color. You don't even like your wife, and then you want to prosper. 5 loaves of bread will not multiply with murmuring and complaining. Abraham and Lot, that was the game. Lot misbehaved. Abraham carried 318 soldiers to rescue him. At the end of the day, it was Lot that destroyed himself. Overcome evil with good.
Winning in life brings you undiluted and practical teachings on how to achieve success and gain wisdom in every aspect of life.
Let there be healing where it's needed. Let there be wisdom to make better decisions where it's needed. Let there be supplies of finances where it's needed. In the name of Jesus Christ.
Showing on TVC News, DSTV channel 418, every Sunday at 9 a.m.
The task of the leaders is to get their people from where they are to where they've not been. How do we hold our leaders accountable in the business of lawmaking and representation?
The mandate that you have given to us is not abuse in any way.
The primary purpose of government is to ensure the welfare and security of the Nigerian people.
The constituency project had noble intentions, and they still remain the most veritable tool.
Do they really know their representatives at the states and national assemblies?
Our people, they don't have water, they are suffering. They only drink water from where rain fall.
For the current one, the 10th assembly, I don't really know who is in charge.
From the mountaintops to the deepest valleys, we're ready to go an extra mile just to show Nigerian your constituency project. Know your representative with Maria, bridging the visible gap.
TVC News Weekend Lineup. TVC Breakfast Saturday with Kemi Fola Adeyemo and Emmanuel Ajayi. Political Standpoint with Precious Amayo. Newsweek with Mark Otabo. Politics and Sunday with Femi Akonde. Community Forum with Sarah Yeku. Get ready for the biggest stories, fresh perspectives, and burning news discussions that round up the weekend. Only on TVC News.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
In Lagos, Nigeria, this is TVC Midday News. I am Abosadi Adeniran. And our President Bola Tinubu has explained the rationale behind his administration's economic reforms, saying the primary motive was protecting the interests of future generations. He said this at the State House in Abuja when he received a delegation of former National Assembly colleagues from the aborted Third Republic, during which he served as a senator representing Lagos West. The president highlighted the challenges faced at the beginning of his administration, especially economic and social issues, and expressed his gratitude for the delegation's support in addressing these difficulties. Senator Emmanuel Nwaka, who spoke on behalf of the group, expressed his delight at some of the programs that President Tinubu's administration had implemented, especially the Nigerian Education Loan Fund and the Nigerian Consumer Credit Corporation.
Democracy is good, and that's what we are rejoicing and celebrating. I'm glad that you are all holding on to that hope tightly. We are sitting pretty well on a good foundation being laid. We've reversed the problem. Exchange rate is stabilizing. Usually at this period of Ramadan, food prices are coming down instead of going up extravagantly. I thank all of you for keeping faith and remembering how we started and how far we've come.
Your renewed hope agenda itself gives us hope. And it took us 30-something years to get to where we are today, to see the high priest of renewed hope, which you are the ones, sir. In fact, on the list of this delegation, one of the members of the delegation is His Excellency Senator Ahmed Bola Tinubu, Lagos West.
Now to other stories. The Minister of Education, Tunji Alausa, has linked the increasing number of universities to pressure from lawmakers, explaining that over 200 bills proposing new universities pose a challenge to the federal government, as the system is already strained. His counterpart, the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, announced that the ministry is preparing to introduce the Fly Nigeria Act to the National Assembly. Well, these are some of the highlights at the 4th edition of the 2025 Ministerial Press Briefing in Abuja. Mariam Mohammed reports.
At the press briefing, Minister of Information and National Rotation, Mohammed Idris, emphasized that the president's transformative reforms will establish a solid foundation for a new Nigeria. He also commended the media for their role in promoting transparency by keeping the public informed about government policies
for the growth and development of our nation. Let me say that we have crossed the Rubicon and the pains are gradually easing as the positive impact of these reforms are beginning to manifest. Already, we are witnessing a marked reduction in food prices, stability in the exchange rates, and a gradual decline in the cost of petroleum products.
Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, explained that implementing the Fly Nigeria Act would boost the Nigerian economy by supporting the growth of local airlines.
We are in the process of pushing the Fly Nigeria Act to the National Assembly. There's a Fly American Act. I think there's a Fly India Act too. Most big countries in the world, they have their acts on Fly the Country Act. What does it say? That for all official trips funded by government, you must first patronize local airlines that fly that route first. If it's only when a local airline is not flying that route, you patronize an international airline. It's going to be a law.
Minister of Education, Maruf Tunji Alausa, reiterated the need to strengthen existing university rather than creating new ones, stressing the importance of rebuilding infrastructure to enhance the quality of education.
A lot of bills. Today I can tell you there are almost 200 bills in the National Assembly for new universities to open. We can't continue this. Even the ones we don't have enough infrastructures there. The capacity for our university to admit It's not there. What we need to do now is to rebuild the capacities to ensure that we can offer more viable courses to our citizens.
The ministers reassured Nigerians of the federal government's commitment to transforming the nation's economy. Maria Mohammed, TVC News, Abuja.
To talk more on the Ministry of Education's plan to prioritize improving tertiary institutions in Nigeria, I'm joined by a former education specialist with the UNICEF and CEO, System Strategy and Policy Lab, Murtala Mohammed. Good to have you join us on TVC Midday News. First, what was your initial reaction when you heard the Ministry of Education say that there are over 200 bills proposing new universities? Is this something we should be excited about or something that is a cause for worry?
I think, good afternoon, listener, and it's a great opportunity for me to be with TVC this afternoon. I think it's something that we should worry about, bearing in mind that if we are to add additional 200 universities now, then at that much, maybe the number will be like over 400 universities in the country. And it's a very difficult moment when we are struggling with the funding. And then how are we going to manage this university? I think what we should focus on at the moment in the country, it's on quality, not quantity. We need to focus on the quality of education we are delivering in Nigeria, not the quantity on the number of universities for political reason, for political gain. And I'm struggling behind the minister when he said we should be very careful with increasing the number of universities because of political reason. Almost every senator, every member of House of Reps want to have university in its constituency. That is not possible. At the moment, Nigeria is only spending 1.4% of the GDP on the education sector. And the global recommendation is basically that we need to spend 4 to 6% of the GDP on the education sector. It's not even up to 2%. Then by the time we have additional 200 universities, where are we going to get the money? Where is the funding coming from?
Indeed, the minister has mentioned that it's a lot of pressure, and for him, he's placing emphasis on strengthening the existing universities by rebuilding infrastructure to actually enhance the quality of education. But talking about quality, how do we go about it? Because many people have queried our curriculum, the fact that there are obsolete, courses, subjects that do not really relate with the 21st century.
Okay, now you raised two fundamental questions. One, the question of quality, and two, the question of curriculum. Now let me go with the question of the quality. You see, for you to have an improved learning outcome, either at primary level, at secondary level, at university level, you must have three people that are ready. One, the teacher or lecturer that is ready to teach. Two, the pupils that are ready to listen. And three, the learning environment that is ready to accommodate the pupils. Then if you look at our system, there is no readiness for these three. The lecturers and the teachers are that much if they are fully ready to teach because of the level of hardship around their salary, around their income, around their how they have access even to the schools because of increase in fuel. The removal of fuel subsidy has really affected them also. The income inequality, a lecturer, a teacher is not collecting what somebody in CBN, in FIRS, in NISAL, in MOFI, they are collecting. So when you look at the readiness of the teachers and lecturer, it's very weak. The readiness of the student and the learners, the student at the tertiary institution, the learners in primary and secondary, how ready are they to learn? With poverty, with difficulties, with transportation challenges, with no water in the schools, no toilet facilities. So all these they are not also ready. Then the learning environment, how conducive it is. It would be good for you to visit any of this university lecture room and see over like 500 students in one lecture hall, 300 students in one lecture hall. There is no air condition, there is no fan. The windows are just like not providing adequate ventilation. So the readiness is the most important thing. For learning to take place, these three factors must be in place. But as I'm talking to you, the lecturers, the pupils or the students, the learning facilities are not well equipped adequately to even provide our students and the learner with the skills and competency and capacity to compete globally. Now let's go back to the curriculum. We must be able to train our students, train our pupils, train our children at even pre-primary, primary and secondary with the skills that they will compete globally, not only locally. If there's a job opportunity in London, in New York, in Washington, somebody from my village should be able to apply and compete in that job. And that's where the competitive curriculum issue come on board. But I see with the coming of this new minister, Tunji Rauf, is trying to come up with something that has to do with TVET, is giving priority for technical and vocational education, and also focusing the issue around curriculum review, looking at science, technology, engineering, and medical sciences. But we have a long way to go when we talk about reviewing the curriculum.
All right, so do you think this is a legislative issue, or is it about a change of psyche? I mean, how do you think we should approach this change that we desire to see in our education system, especially in the tertiary education sector?
Okay, I think stakeholder engagement is number one. And also, we should be consistent with our policy. Now, let me take you back to December 2023. When we have the former minister, Tahir Mamman, Professor Tahir Mamman, we were in Akwa Ibom at the Ibom Resort Hotel for 3 days with the minister. And we have 13-point agenda in what we call the Renew Hope Education Agenda for Nigeria with 13 solid points. The Mamman Tahir narrowed it down to 4 points called DOTS, data, out of school, teachers, and skills. We call it DOT agenda during Mamman Tahir, 4 points. When they removed Mamman Tahir just a few months ago, we have a new minister. He now come up with another 6-point agenda. So within 2 years, we have 13-point agenda that is there. We have minister that narrow it to 4 dots agenda that is there. And we have a new minister now with 6-point agenda. So the implementation of this 6-point agenda, 4-point agenda, 13-point agenda need to happen at state level. We have governors that are managing state universities. We have governors that are managing tertiary institutions. We have governors that are also handling primary and secondary school. But if the inconsistency of the policy at federal level might likely also affect state governors. So one area we need to work on is stakeholder engagement. We need to calm down at the moment, call all stakeholders, regularly engage stakeholders, maybe in a quarterly meeting, where the technical people will come in, the civil society, the governors, because any minister of education that did not carry the 36 governors along, he may likely fail. Federal government own only 115 or 20 federal colleges. All the schools in Nigeria are owned by the governors. The same thing state universities. So, one is stakeholder engagement. 2, we need to review our data and see where we are. We have a lot of data coming to the country as a kind of disjointed way. We have World Bank data, UNICEF data, UNESCO data, GPE data, and where's the federal government data? So federal government need to strengthen the NEMIS, Nigerian or National Education Management Information System. So data is number 2. Then number 3 is the issue around the legislation. If you look at the UBEC intervention funds, money coming to UBEC for 36 states, since